The championship games are officially over and the Super Bowl is officially set. And how these two teams got to the Super Bowl is nothing short of remarkable. First on the schedule was the AFC Championship game, so let's start there. Denver started the game with the ball, and it was not a good start for Jarrett Stidham on his first drive in over 2 years, going 3 and out and narrowly avoiding a strip sack on 3rd and long. Luckily for him, DRAKE MAYE started the game the exact same way, leading New England to their own 3 and out on their first drive and even almost throwing a crucial pick in his own red zone. Denver still started their next drive with fantastic field position. However, due to a relatively short punt after 2 missed throws on 1st and 2nd down on Denver's next drive, Jarrett Stidham would throw an absolute dime down the field to Marvin Mims for 52 yards, bringing Denver down to their own 7-yard line. The first big play of the game coming from Jarrett Stidham was not expected, but it certainly set the tone for this game and what we were to expect from the Denver Broncos' offensive game plan. Just 2 plays later, STDM would find a wide-open Clan Sutton in the end zone for the first score of the game, and this is where New England fans started to feel really nervous about losing to yet another backup quarterback because, as you guys remember, almost 10 years ago, Nick Foss defeated the New England Patriots in the Super Bowl, despite Tom Brady's greatest Super Bowl performance of his career statistically. Denver followed that touchdown drive with a huge stop, including an absolutely beautiful coverage play from Patrick Surtain, getting the ball back with a chance to go up 2 possessions early as a huge underdog. Unfortunately, that's not what would happen. Courtland Sutton would drop a crucial ball on 3rd down, and Denver is forced to punt close to midfield. Now, DRAKE MAYE gets another opportunity to drive down the field and tie this game up. Denver's defense came up big time in the first quarter, though, with rookie Q Robinson getting his first career sack on a DRAKE MAYE bootleg and forcing yet another 3 and out. At this point, it felt like regardless of how well Jarrett Stidham played, it would be Denver's defense that would potentially send them to the Super Bowl. On the next drive, STDM in the Denver run game would drive the Broncos right into field goal range and would find themselves in a 4th and 1 situation at the New England 19-YD line. Instead of kicking the field goal and taking a 2-possession lead, Sean Payton made the gutsy call to go for it, which failed miserably. And now New England finally had some momentum. Just kidding. DRAKE MAYE would get sacked on 1st down, and Denver's defense would continue to dominate. New England's offense had no luck at all whatsoever until DRAKE MAYE would finally create a big play with his arm, finding Emmer Holland on 3rd and 13. That's all he would be able to do on this drive. This was a first-half defensive masterclass from Vance Joseph's defense. The Patriots caught a major break on Denver's next drive as Jarrett Stidham lost the ball on 3rd down, which was picked up by Elijah Ponder for a touchdown. But unfortunately, the play was called intentional grounding on State Dumb before being overturned to a fumble. So, New England received the ball where it was recovered, with the touchdown not counting. So now it was time for DRAKE MAYE to deliver those points instead, which he did, rushing into the end zone for a huge 6 and tying this game up before the half. This is exactly what New England needed, and the momentum of the game completely shifted after back-to-back 3 and outs from Denver and New England. Denver was able to get a 54-YD field goal attempt from Will Lutz with less than 30 seconds left in the half, but he ended up missing, giving New England decent field position with 20 seconds left to potentially take a surprising lead going into the half. DRAKE MAYE would then turn 3rd and 15 into a huge 16-yard rush to get nearly into field goal range with 1 second left in the half. This resulted in a 63-yard field goal attempt from Andy Borregales, but due to the wind, it would shank wide to the left, meaning that there were 2 missed lead-taking field goals in the last 30 seconds of the first half. The score was tied at 7 through 2 quarters, and this was proving to become a defensive matchup through and through. New England started the second half with the ball, and it's clear that Mike Vrabel's speech in the locker room had a huge effect because this was immediately their best drive of the game so far. Their run game dominated Denver's front 7 coming out of the break, including a 28-yard scramble from DRAKE MAYE on 3rd and 9 and a 4th down tush push at the Denver 11-YD line that was an insanely close call, but they would still be held to 3 points, followed a 3rd down sack from Jonathan Cooper at the 3-YD line. This would give New England their first lead of the game, though, which is all they wanted going into this drive. Denver would answer with a 3 and out, and now there was some potential for the New England Patriots to fully take over this game. And that potential was being seen as this drive went on, especially after a beautiful 30-yard flea flicker to M. Hollins to bring them deep into Denver territory. But once again, Denver would force a New England field goal, and since it was pouring snow at this point, Andy Borregales' 46th field goal would not make it, giving Broncos fans a bit of a breather. Denver would start the fourth quarter with the ball, but after a beautiful pass breakup from Marcus Jones on 3rd and 5, New England would get the ball right back and look to continue what had been a dominant second-half performance thus far, regardless of the slim 3-point lead. Denver would finally force a quick second-half stop on the ensuing New England drive, but they would need a big turnaround from Jared STDM and the offense altogether if they wanted a chance of at least tying this game up. Of course, that didn't really happen. But after another stop from their defense, Bryce Behringer had a horrible punt in the snow, and Denver started their next possession at the New England 33-yard line. This was their best opportunity yet. New England did end up getting a stop, but Leonard Taylor would end up tipping a Will Lutz 45-yard attempt, and New England held on to the lead with a trip to the Super Bowl on the line. And with less than 5 minutes to go with the way this game had gone, the only thing that could have happened here was a New England 3-and-out. And that's exactly what happened. Denver got the ball back down 3 with 3 minutes left to go in the game. This was their opportunity. Their entire season came down to this drive here. And to be honest, it was very anticlimactic for Denver fans because on the second play of the drive, Jared Stidham would launch an absolute duck down the field, giving Christian Gonzalez the easiest and most important interception of his career and all but sealing this game for New England. Denver gave themselves a chance, though, forcing a third down with 1:50 to go. But on a beautiful play call by Josh McDaniels, DRAKE MAYE takes the ball after a play action and runs around the entire Broncos defense for a first down, allowing him to kneel the ball out and send New England back to the Super Bowl for the first time since Tom Brady left. This game was dominated by both defenses, with there only being 17 points combined. But ultimately, the quarterback advantage that New England had became the difference. But I can't help but feel like if Denver had Bo Nix, they would be competing in Santa Clara. But unfortunately, that isn't the reality of it. And we will officially see DRAKE MAYE and the New England Patriots in Super Bowl 60. Half an hour after the AFC Championship game finished, we saw the NFC Championship game kickoff. And it's safe to say that this game was the game that everybody was looking forward to. The LA Rams would start this game with the ball, and we immediately saw the unstoppable force meet the immovable object. And the immovable object definitely won this round, forcing LA to a quick 3-and-out and creating some early momentum in this game. And once Sam Darnold got the football, we saw pure electricity. On third down, Sam Darnold dropped back and launched the ball downfield to Rashid Shaheed, who absolutely burnt Darius Williams for 51 yards, and Lumen Field was shaking early. The stadium got even louder after a one-wide touchdown from Kenneth Walker to put them in front early, and just 5 minutes in, much like last week, Seattle had all the momentum in the world. But that didn't affect Matthew Stafford, though, because the veteran quarterback found Puka Nacua downfield for a 44-yard gain, answering right back with a huge play of his own. Unfortunately, they weren't able to turn that into 6, but a 44-yard field goal from Harrison Mees would put them on the board, shortening Seattle's lead to 4. Seattle continued to look unstoppable on their second drive on the back of Kenneth Walker, who had to really step up with Zach Charbonnet tearing his ACL against San Francisco. And to Kenneth Walker's credit, he absolutely did. A nasty one-handed sideline catch from JSN would bring Seattle within 10 yards of the end zone once again, but a holding penalty later, and Seattle would be held to just 3 points on this drive. The game was turning out to be a good one early, just like we all expected. The Rams would start the second quarter hot, driving down the field with Stafford even hitting Devontae Adams for a slant that went 23 yards. But once again, Mike McDonald's defense was able to stop LA on third down, with DeMarcus Lawrence getting to Matt Stafford in the backfield, which would result in Harrison Mass kicking another field goal. LA would finally do what they weren't able to do all game long, and that's stop Seattle's offense, forcing a 3-and-out on the back of a Braden Fisk sack, and would get a chance to take their first lead of the game, which is exactly what they would get. Stafford and the Rams would drive down the field with ease, ending with a Kyren Williams touchdown where the Seattle defense just completely lost him and the game had officially flipped on its head. The Rams got the ball right back, but Seattle's defense stepped up big time on this drive, especially rookie safety Nick Amani, keeping their deficit at 3 and regaining possession with a minute left with all 3 timeouts at their disposal. This drive was all JSN. Sam Darnold found JSN a couple of times on this drive, including a huge 42-wide bomb that brought them down to the 22-wide D-line and the eventual go-ahead touchdown with 20 seconds to go, capping off a 7-catch, 115-wide first half. This guy is so freaking good at football that it's truly mind-boggling to watch. Seattle would go into the half with a 17-13 lead, already capping the point total from the AFC Championship, and it sure felt like a playoff classic was brewing. Seattle started the second half with the ball, looking to capitalize on the momentum that they ended the first half with, but despite yet another big gain from Darnold to JSN, the Rams' defense would lock in and force a punt following a Kobe Turner sack. But instead of Seattle's punt giving LA possession, Xavier Smith would muff the punt, which would be recovered by Seattle, giving them a fresh set of downs at the LA 17-wide line. Seattle would score on the first play of this new drive on a Sam Darnold pass to Jake Bubo for only his 4th reception of the entire season, and the Seahawks now had a double-digit lead in the second half of the NFC Championship, and now were in full control of their destiny to the Super Bowl. That didn't bode well with Matthew Stafford, though. At this point, Matthew Stafford would completely take over, driving down the field on his next drive quicker than you can say MVP, throwing dart after dart before eventually finding Davante Adams in the end zone and bringing the Seattle lead back to 4 points. However, as they've done all season, the Seahawks answered right back with it being Sam Darnold's turn to drive down the field, capping the drive with a touchdown to Cooper Kupp in an incredible moment as Cubs scored against his former team where he won Super Bowl MVP. And just like that, the lead was 11 again, and all of a sudden it became a battle of who could get a stop first. That team should have ended up being Seattle, who had an unbelievable play from their secondary on the ensuing LA drive. But Tariq Woolen went on a generational run. He earned himself an unsportsmanlike penalty on 4th and 12, giving LA a first down on a 15-yarded penalty. And of course, like poetry, on the very next play, Matt Stafford would find Puka Nacua for a touchdown on a route where he beat Tariq Woolen in a perfect full-circle moment. And what was funny about this was immediately after Tariq Woolen was arguing with his teammates on the sideline. Not a great series for Tariq Woolen, but a huge sack from a blitzing Cam Kitchens on first down set up Seattle with an awkward 2nd and long, which they just weren't able to overcome thanks to a huge 3rd down pass breakup from Kobe Durant. And LA got the stop they'd been trying to get all half. At this point, the Rams had abandoned the run almost entirely, giving the keys to a potential Super Bowl berth to their MVP quarterback. And it was working like a charm until Kobe Parkinson dropped an absolute dime on a crucial 3rd and 1. However, on 4th and 1, Sean McVay once again gave the keys to Stafford, and instead of making a play with his arm, he scrambled out of the pocket and absolutely beasted his way to a first down on a play where I may have seen more heart from him than I have ever seen in his 16 years of playing. And that's saying something. Seattle would force LA into one more 4th down situation on this drive. And down 4 with less than 5 minutes left, the Rams had no choice but to go for it. Stafford would drop back, look for Kyren Williams to his left, but he was strapped. So, he progressed to the middle of the field where he tried to find Taron Ferguson in the back of the end zone, but it got broken up on a perfect play by Devin Witherspoon, and Seattle took over with the lead and less than 5 minutes to go. Sam Darnold and the Seahawks offense did an incredible job chewing clock. The Rams were able to give Matt Stafford the ball back at their own 7-yard line with 25 seconds left. And if he were able to score here, this would be the greatest drive in NFL history. Stafford made 2 huge passes to Puka Nacua to give him a chance, but in a crazy turn of events, Puka ended up being inbounds on the sideline, ending the game and sending Seattle to their first Super Bowl in over a decade. This game lived up to the hype and more. And now Sam Darnold and the Seahawks will meet DRAKE MAYE and the Patriots in the rematch of Super Bowl 49. And personally, I can't wait. This game is going to be absolute cinema. On one hand, you have the best defense in football ready to continue their reign of terror. And on the other hand, you have an MVP-level quarterback ready to cement himself in history at the ripe age of 23. Yes, DRAKE MAYE's the 2nd youngest quarterback to ever start in the Super Bowl, older than only Dan Marino in 1985, who was 22. Seattle has yet to face the Mike Vrabel New England Patriots. The thing is, though, this offense has been very underwhelming through 3 playoff games. And look, I don't want to take anything away from the New England Patriots because ever since seeing this picture of St. Fan Diggs watching the Kansas City Chiefs celebrate when he was a member of the Buffalo Bills, a part of me was always kind of rooting for him. and it's really nice to see his reaction to making it to the Super Bowl. For me, I've been in the league 11 years, man. I fell short so many times. I can't say nothing but perfect timing as of right now. The 2025 New England Patriots have the fewest points scored combined through the wildcard round, divisional round, and conference championship of teams that have made a Super Bowl. But the two teams directly behind them have two things in common. Both the 2000 Ravens and the 2007 Giants won the Super Bowl. Could history repeat itself? Both of those teams relied on their elite defense to win, especially the 2000 Ravens. And it's hard to argue that New England has had the best defense in the NFL during these playoffs. Yes, even better than Seattle's. However, Seattle has by far the best offense New England will face in these playoffs. So, we'll just have to see if they can keep up with their elite play. This is a game between two Coach of the Year candidates as well. Seattle opens as early favorites for this game. And while I do believe that Seattle will be just too much for New England to overcome, and they'll walk out of Santa Clara as champions, I also believe that New England could come out and surprise everybody. Their defense has done such a good job through 3 playoff games. And Josh McDaniels may still have something up his sleeve to catch Seattle's monstrous defense off guard. But as I said before, we'll just have to see when the time comes. Regardless, this is arguably the most exciting Super Bowl matchup that we could have gotten. It's time for a rematch. Let me know what you guys think about the Super Bowl 60 matchup in the comment section down below. Thanks for watching.